everyone, and welcome back to this channel. If this is the first time you're joining, you are most welcome. Welcome, and I hope you will stick and stay. My name is Anne Marie. Midlife really makes me pay attention to my body in a different way. Sometimes you used to do some things without even thinking, and now it starts to affect your mood, your energy, your sleep, and your overall health. So, today I want to share with you 5 things that I gave up or reduce significantly at this stage of my life, and I do so for overall health reason, right? When you're not in your 20s and your 30s and so anymore, it's midlife, and so you have to be very careful. And I listen to my health because I can't bother with a whole heap of surprises. So the first thing I gave up is my good old coffee. Hmm. Persons who know me can't believe it when I said, because I've been saying it, I kept saying it for a while before I actually, did it. I just said, I'm going to give up coffee, and I try so many times and then I fail. But I gave it up because it when I don't have my coffee, I become very cranky, impatient, moody, and it didn't affect my it yes, it affected my energy somewhat. It only affect my sleep if I drink it like right before bed. But I tell you, man, my good old coffee, and then not to mention the acid on my stomach. I was having this excessive acid, on my stomach, and it was very hard for me to give it up, but I had to. Coffee for me, my coffee drinking or my love for coffee started from I was actually a child, because my father was a coffee lover, and we had coffee on the property that we lived. So my mother, she used to pick her coffee, dry it, beat it, and let me tell you something, the coffee no nice. So, I'm not knocking the instant coffee, but I'm not really an instant girl. I will drink it over the headaches that I will get when I don't have my coffee. And I said, no, I can't rely on this thing. It's like relying on it more than, I rely on my meals. So instead, I swap it out for green tea. And so I said, let me go herbal, and I drink any other herbal tea. I guess green tea falls in that category, but specifically green tea. I was having the black tea until one day I read the label and realized that caffeine is in black tea. And even the herbal tea and the green teas, you have to be aware of them because some of them has coffee in it. So I am caffeine. So I read the label. So this one now, this green tea, and I would link the brand in the video description. So this one I'm having, you can have it without even sugar, and it tastes good same way. Lemon water I drink as well because I find that, but because of the acid thing, I don't drink a lot of the lemon water because it does bother my stomach. But whenever I have lemon water, I find that I take a while before I have breakfast, and I really don't have to have any green tea, So at least once or twice per week, I try to have a cup, and I do so in the morning. And in the mornings, and I drink water. The second thing I give up is sugar. Lord, my dear, the craving the bloating, the energy crash when I don't have sugar. I said no. And then I did an executive profile, and then I found out that my A1C was a little bit high. And that's a combination of sugar and carbs as well. And so I decided that I'm going to do something about it quickly before this thing gets out of hand. And so I decided to give up sugar. My journey was not easy because I had the withdrawal symptoms. One evening I was going home, and I tell you, the craving for the sugar was so much. So what I did, I had to pull up at the nearest supermarket, and I rush in and I bought a ginger bulla. Lord, my dear, when I get in my car, I sanitize my hand, and the distance between the supermarket and my home was like 5 minutes. And before I got home, that bulla was finished. When I got home and I sat in my car, I felt so ashamed of myself. I said, no, man, I for wheel and come again because I am giving in to this withdrawal, all these withdrawal symptoms. So what I started doing was, when I feel that way, I have fruits. And even before I feel that way, I try to have my daily intake of fruits, because when I have my fruits, I really don't feel that way. Even a Greek yogurt, that help as well. So I don't feel that way. But and I drink a lot of water, so that help as well. The third thing I gave up, it is carbs. Lord, me dear. I'm not going to say I give up carbs altogether, but I try to have now healthy carbs. The white flour, the white rice, going and picking up a cheese bread, a Danish, all of those pastries, and not to mention that they are usually high in cholesterol. We must read our label. I read my labels, and I discover that a lot of cholesterol is in these pastries, and it is not good for you, especially if you have cholesterol issue. I have cholesterol issues, so I have to read the label of what I eat. And so I decided that I'm going to stop eating all of these unhealthy carbs. What I do, I have my sweet potato, I have brown rice, I have like green banana, and a slice of yellow yam. You still have to watch your portion. So for me, my carbs, I don't usually have carbs in the morning, not really, unless it's like 2 slices of whole wheat bread. And so I limit the carbs. I have 10% carbs for my meal, and the other I split in vegetables and protein. So I limit my carbs, because I have to be very careful in this season of my life. And I can tell you, between giving up the carbs and the sugar, I started to lose weight, because I had all this weight and all the running up and down that I was doing. I was not losing nothing. And so I realized that having a larger portion of vegetable and the protein and 10% carbs for lunch, and I have less than 10% if I'm going to have carbs for dinner, I started to drop that weight so quickly. And the first place I dropped the weight from was my tummy. So the unhealthy carbs, the white bread, the rice and whatever, I find that was contributing significantly to the weight on my tummy. Stop eating them, and the weight on my tummy just went down. And trust me, that is my motivation. That is my motivation. And so the bloating, because I was bloating, and I realized that some of the things in these pastries, it really caused me to bloat. So cutting them out, I no longer bloat. I tell you, when you eat a lot of vegetable and protein and your 10% carb, it really helped with the bloating. It helped with my bloating. And so it works well for me, and I am just praying for the stamina to continue, and I'm going to keep it up. The fourth thing I stopped doing is staying up late. I sleep. I don't spend a lot of hours sleeping. I'm not the sleepy person. When I sleep, I just feel like something missed me. And it is not good for me, because I need my rest, especially in this season of my life. And so I find that when I don't get enough sleep and I stay up, I cranky the next day. The next day I'm just drowsy and cranky and low energy, and I don't want to get irritable on anybody because that's not me. I'm not that type of person. I am not moody. And I don't want to be moody. This is not how I want to show up. I want to show up bright and chirpy and all of them things there. And believe me, cranky the next day when I don't get enough sleep. So what I started doing was to set my phone to alarm at 8 o'clock, and the big bedtime, you know, is on it. And so I say, well, sometime I have something doing and I can't go to bed immediately, but I try not to let 9 o'clock pass. If it's even to lie in bed and not sleep, but at least I know I'm resting. The fifth thing that I gave up is stop stressing over everything. Can I tell you, I'm the queen for stressing. The least little bad news, it is, and sometimes it's not just about me, but about a family member or friend, I will panic and I will stress. And so when I'm stressing, I can't sleep. I don't have any appetite, and sometimes you just really don't want to communicate with people because you're stressing. And so it even give me headache. It's similar to caffeine withdrawal. Because when I was having caffeine withdrawals, the headache was something else. And so I find that when I'm stressing, I also have a lot of headache. So my remedy for my stress, is to pray. I find that when I pray, I just constantly pray about everything. And not only in the mornings when I get up, but I pray throughout the day. I just keep praying. I might be a little bit more silent than usual, but I keep praying, I just pray. I'm like the Jews. I take up the Jew habit where I pray several times per day. I just keep praying, and I find that helps. I'll get home and I put on my sneakers and I go walking or jogging. When you walk and you pass different places and the cool breeze outside, and so it puts me in a different mood. It really puts me in the mood that I want to be in. So I'm not going to stress. Those are my remedy for stressing. And also I try to protect my peace. You have persons who are toxic. So I try to stay away from those persons, limit my encounter with those persons. Not everything needs a confrontation. If something is bothering me or something happened and I don't like it, I'll have a frank discussion with you. But I'm mature enough to know sometimes when those frank discussions may not end well, and I don't want it to go down that road. So I just let it go. Let it go. I find that I let go a lot of things to release, to protect my peace. I protect my peace a lot. People who are toxic, I love them from afar, and I limit my encounter with them. Protecting my peace, I find, is very important. So I'm not perfect. So giving up all of these things doesn't mean that I am perfect, but it helps me to feel better, more balanced, and more aware of what my body needs and what my body is saying to me. You see, during your midlife, you're not eating for taste anymore. Trust me. And I can say so because I wasn't big on vegetables, to be frank with you. But I find that I have to be eating for nutrition. And so I acquired the taste, acquired the taste of some things that I wasn't big on. And midlife has taught me that health is not about punishment, okay? It's about making better choices that help me to feel my best. So you can link in a comment on this video and tell me what are some of the things that you give up or reduce significantly in your midlife. And that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for watching, and remember to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the